clear through to his left ear, and Dictys, running in a desperate haste, hoping in vain to escape Ixion's son, slipped on the steep edge of a precipice, and as he fell down headlong crashed into the top of a huge ash-tree, which impaled his dying body on its broken spikes. Alphareus, eager to avenge him, tried to lift a rock from that steep mountain-side, but as he heaved, the son of Aegeus struck him squarely with an oaken club, and smashed and broke the huge bones of that centaur's arm. He has no time, and does not want to give that useless foe to death. He leaps upon the back of tall Bianor, never trained to carry riders, and he fixed his knees firm in the centaur's ribs, and holding tight to the long hair seized by his left hand, struck and shattered the hard features and fierce face and bony temples with his club of gnarled strong oak. And with it he struck to the ground Neidimnus and Lycopes, dart expert, and Hippasus, whose beard hid all his breast, and Ripheus, taller than the highest trees, and Thoreas, who would carry home alive the raging bears, caught in Thessalian hills. Dumoleon could no longer stand and look on Theseus and his unrestrained success. He struggled with vast effort to tear up an old pine, trunk and all, with its long roots, and failing shortly in that first attempt, he broke it off and hurled it at his foe. But Theseus saw the pine-tree in its flight, and, warned by Pallas, got beyond its range. His boast was, Pallas had directed him. And yet the missile was not launched in vain. It sheared the left shoulder and the breast from tall Crantor. He, Achilles, was your father's armour-bearer, and was given by King Amintor when he sued for peace. When Peleus at a distance saw him torn and mangled, he exclaimed, "At least receive this sacrifice, O Crantor, most beloved, dearest of young men." And with sturdy arm, and all his strength of soul as well, he hurled his ashen lance against Demoleon, which, piercing through his shivered ribs, hung there and quivered in the bones. The centaur wrenched the wooden shaft out with his frenzied hands, but could not move the pointed head, which stuck within his lungs. His very anguish gave him such a desperation that he rose against his foe and trampled and beat down the hero with his hoofs. Peleus allowed the blows to fall on helm and ringing shield. Protected so, he watched his time and thrust up through the centaur's shoulder. By one stroke he pierced two breasts, where horse and man form met. Before this, Peleus with the spear had killed both Myles and Phlegraeus, and with the sword Iphinus and Clanus. Now he killed Dorylas, who was clad in a wolf-skin cap and fought with curving bull's horns dripping blood. To him I said, for courage gave me strength, "Your horns are much inferior to my steel," and threw my spear. Since he could not avoid the gleaming point, he held up his right hand to shield his forehead from the threatened wound. His hand was pierced and pinned against his forehead. He shouted madly. Peleus, near him, while he stood there pinned and helpless with his wound, struck him with sharp sword in the belly deep. He leapt forth fiercely, as he trailed his bowels upon the ground, with his entangled legs treading upon them, bursting them, he fell with empty belly, lifeless to the earth. Celarus, beauty did not save your life, if beauty is in any of your tribe. Your golden beard was in its early growth, your golden hair came flowing to your shoulders. In your bright face there was a pleasing glance. The neck and shoulders and the hands and breast, and every aspect of his human form resembled those admired statues which our gifted artists carve. Even the shape of the fine horse beneath the human form was perfect too. Give him the head and neck of a full-blooded horse, and he would seem a steed for Castor, for his back was shaped so comfortable to be sat upon, and muscles swelled upon his arching chest. His lustrous body was as black as pitch, yet his legs and flowing tail were white as snow. Many a female of his kind loved him, but only Halonome gained his love. There was no other centaur made so beautiful as she within the woods. By coaxing ways she had won Celarus, by loving and confessing love. By daintiness, so far as that was possible in one of such a form, she held his love. For now she smoothed her long locks with a comb, and now she decked herself with rosemary, and now with violets or with roses in her hair, and sometimes she wore lilies white as snow. and twice each day she bathed her lovely face in the sweet stream that falls down from the height of wooded Pegasa. And daily, twice she dipped her body in the stream. She wore upon her shoulders and left side a skin greatly becoming of selected worth. Their love was equal, and together they would wander over mountain sides and rest together in cool caves. And so it was they went together to that palace cave, known to the Lapithai. Together they fought fiercely in this battle, side by side. Thrown by an unknown hand, a javelin pierced Salaris, just below the fatal spot where the chest rises to the neck. His heart, though only slightly wounded, grew quite cold, and his whole body felt cold, afterwards as quickly as the weapon was drawn out. Then Halonami held in her embrace the dying body, fondled the dread wound, and fixing her lips closely to the lips, endeavoured to hold back his dying breath. But soon she saw that he indeed was dead. With mourning words, which clamour of the fight prevented me from hearing, she threw herself on the spear that pierced her, Salaris, and fell upon his breast, embracing him in death. Another sight still comes before my eyes, the centaur Theocomes with his log. He wore 6 lion skins well wrapped around his body, and with fixed connecting knots they covered him, both horse and man. He hurled a trunk 2 yokes of oxen scarce could move, and struck the hapless son of Olenus a crushing blow upon the head. The broad round dome was shattered, and his dying brains oozed out through the hollow nostrils, mouth, and ears, as curdled milk seeps down through oaken twigs, or other liquors, crushed out under weights, flow through a well-pierced sieve, and thick, squeeze out through numerous holes. As he began to spoil his victim, and your father can affirm the truth of this, I thrust my sword deep in the wretch's groin. Chthonius, too, and Tiliboas fell there by my sword. The former had a 2-pronged stick as his sole weapon, and the other had a spear with which he wounded me. You see the scar, the old scar still as surely visible. Those were my days of youth and strength, and then I ought to have warred against the citadel of Pergama. I could have checked or even vanquished the arms of Hector, but alas, Hector had not been born, or was perhaps a boy. Old age has dulled my youthful strength. What use is it to speak of Periphas, who overcame Pyratus double-formed? Why tell of Ampyx, who with pointless shaft victorious thrust Echeclus through the face? Macarius, hurling a heavy crowbar, pierced Erigippus and laid him low. A hunting spear that Nessus strongly hurled was buried in the groin of Cymelus. Do not believe that Mopsus, son of Ampycus, was merely a prophet of events to come. He slew a daring 2-formed monster there. Hodites tried in vain to speak before his death, but could not, for his tongue was nailed against his chin against his throat. 5 of the centaurs Caeneus put to death. Stipholus, Bromus, and Antimachus, Elymas, and Perachmos with his axe. I have forgot their wounds, but noted well their names and number. Latreus, huge of limb, had killed and stripped Emathian Helesus. Now, in his armour, he came rushing out. In years he was between old age and youth. But he retained the vigour of his youth. His temples showed his hair was mixed with grey. Conspicuous for his Macedonian lance and sword and shield, facing both sides, each way he insolently clashed his arms, and while he rode poured out these words in empty air: "Shall I put up with one like you, O Caeneus? For you are still a woman in my sight. Have you forgot your birth, or that disgrace by which you won reward? At what a price you got the false resemblance to a man! Consider both your birth, and what you have submitted to. Take up a distaff and wool basket. Twist your threads with practised thumb. Leave warfare to your men." While puffed-up pride was vaunting out such nonsense, Caeneus hurled a spear and pierced the stretched-out running side, just where the man was joined upon the horse. The centaur, Latreus, raved with pain, and struck with his great pike the face of Caeneus. His pike rebounded as the hail that slants up from the roof, or as a pebble might rebound from hollow drum. Then, coming near, he tried to drive a sword into the hard side of Caeneus, but it could not make a wound. "Aha!" he cried, "this will not get you off. The good edge of my sword will take your life, although the point is blunt." He turned the edge against the flank of Caeneus, and swung round the hero's loins with his long, curving arm. The flesh resounded like a marble block, the keen blade shattered on the unyielding skin. And after Keneus had exposed his limbs unhurt to Latreus,